With active presence in more than 10 countries and a global community of 60,000 members, we are thrilled to grow and nurture our community in the course of this year. Welcome to the Startup Club, a fast-growing online startup and entrepreneur community. We currently manage a network of 600 social groups on LinkedIn, Xing and Facebook, with more than 60,000 group members, 100,000 email subscribers, 27 successful events in 2020, so far and more to come. And we are constantly expanding. Our vision is to become the one-stop shop for the global startup community, organizing startup club events for the startup ecosystem in cities all over the world. Our mission is to become the most actively sought source of pitch-related events and information for the entrepreneurs, early-stage investors, and startups across all industries and regions. Until 2021, we will almost double our activities, numbers, and network. Join us. Become a part of great journey.
So, as you might have understood, at the Startup Club, we're building a global entrepreneur community, and we're proud to be doing so through events such as this one, and especially now in this difficult time of pandemic, to be able to do online and virtual events and to continue supporting entrepreneurs and investors across the world in connecting one with another. And on this note, I would also like to introduce our event partner, CompanyCapital, with whom we're co-hosting this great conference. And once again, I would like to share a quick video about them, and then I will let Karsten take the word.
Thanks for the introduction, and hello everyone, and thanks for your time, and thanks for joining us this afternoon. As shown in the video, CompanyCapital works with companies in the Nordic region, prepare and connect with capital within Europe and overseas. In particular, we work with investors in the US. The company was founded about 2.5 years ago, and we work 3 people in Copenhagen currently, and a representative in Stockholm, Sweden as well. So today my colleagues Henrik and Christian also are joining in. If we put the COVID-19 pandemic to one side just for a moment, the climate change debate and actions have come to stay, and increasingly is being put to the test of companies throughout the globe. So this event is focusing on 4 select companies with individual ways to assist reducing CO2 emissions and introducing new business areas. The agenda is about how we produce, consume, and recycle in new and more intelligent ways. On this note, CompanyCapital will shortly be launching a new platform, which we will be calling Zero Carbon Industrial Competence, which is a platform of technical as well as commercial experience and expertise that will help these Scope 3 manufacturing companies do 3 things. First of all, strengthen their competitive advantage. Secondly, we will be able to increase the market positions that they have. And thirdly, introduce products, services, and technologies into new markets. For investors, such a platform will prove interesting, as we will be fueling individual companies with focus on producing, consuming, and recycling capabilities that will contribute to this overall goal of reducing the CO2 emissions. So today's event is a first. We have been focused on the green tech, and we will be doing that over the next 60-80 minutes. And we hope that you will all be enjoying the lineup that we have for you this afternoon. So let us turn our ears and our eyes into the first presenting companies. So I don't know, Olga, if you would be ready with the first video, and I'll introduce PP Nordica.
Yes, definitely. Just a quick note before we jump into the first presentation. The way the conference is going to go about is we're going to play each of the company's presentation, and then we will have a live Q&A with each of the companies in order to answer interesting questions from the audience. Here is where the chat functions comes in again. So everyone who is listening, please use the chat during and after presentation to ask the questions to the presenting companies, and they will answer them in live right away. So that's it from now, and you can go ahead to introduce our first presenter.
So introducing the first company, PP Nordica Group, with a macro fiber solution for concrete reinforcement that will reduce the use of steel mesh and steel grids significantly in concrete constructions, and lowering CO2 emissions by 60% or even more than that. So the video will be running for you in a second.
Hello, my name is Leszek Kopinski. I'm from PP Nordica Group in Denmark. I want to introduce our company and the fibers that we sell. Thanks for your attention, and here we go. A few fragments from this video will show our main product, the Durus Easy Finish fiber. The worker is making a stripe foundation for a standard house. Notice that there is no steel reinforcement. Only our fibers are in the concrete. We have replaced the steel reinforcement. You can see the fibers in this clip here. This is our core business. Our CEO, Pelle Olsen, founded the company in 2011. The product, our fibers, have been invented by him and his partners. Pelle sells the fibers in Denmark, but has also expanded into other countries: Norway, Sweden, Lithuania, and Poland. We have 14 employees, both sellers and engineers. Soon we will have a manufacturing company also to meet the demand of our sales companies. The fibers are made from PP material. This reduces costs, this reduces CO2 emissions. Concrete is reinforced in 70% of all its applications. Our fibers can fully or partially replace steel reinforcement in these 70%. Our main product is Durus Easy Finish. You can see the fibers below here. They are wrapped when sent to us from a producer. The wrapping dissolves when it is mixed with concrete. Our fibers outcompete steel reinforcements in these ways. They weigh less when compared to their size and can be transported easier. The people who mix the concrete do not lift as much, so their comfort is increased. The speed of construction is increased because steel handling on site is eliminated. We just put our fibers in at the mix station and the reinforcement work is done. PP fibers are resistant to acids and rust. Steel reinforcement often needs to be protected from the elements by using more concrete than the construction really needs. By using our fibers, we can reduce the amount of concrete needed. Because we use so much less material than steel reinforcement, we can reduce the carbon footprint by at least 60% in all major applications. We sell directly to ready-mix stations. Our salespeople are in direct contact with the contractors who buy from these mix stations. In this way, we are in control of the entire chain from production to end user. There are no distributors between us and the end user. We use only local salespeople to achieve this aim. They are also part owners of our national sales companies. More specific about our green impact. The average CO2 emission reduction varies depending on the specific application, but usually we emit about 3 to 4 times less CO2 than our steel reinforcement competitors. We've made a calculation sheet to precisely predict the savings in CO2 emissions and in cost reduction. We give this sheet to our end customers. So they can calculate their own savings using our fibers. Today, we are partnered with Adfil, the producer of our fibers. To increase our capacity to meet demand, we have decided to build a new local manufacturing company in Denmark. The target capacity is 1,800 tons of fibers per year. This increased capacity equals about 22,500 houses in Denmark. A typical house saves about 1.2 tons of CO2 emission when our fibers are used. So for the total capacity, this would save about 27,000 tons of CO2 emissions per year. With this extra capacity, we expect to reach a group turnover of $12 million by 2023. With this extra capacity, we expect to reach a group turnover of $12 million by 2023. More about our financials. In the last 4 years, we have increased our revenue from about $800,000 to $3.5 million. This profit has been reinvested into building up our sales capacity around Scandinavia, not for our profits. We expect our existing companies to continue the growth, but without more investments. One reason for this is that we have made tests with Siemens, the largest producer of windmills in the world. Siemens also has a green impact agenda and also wants to reduce their production costs. We will, within a month, sign an agreement with them, and this agreement alone will generate more than 900 tons of extra demand for our fibers per year. Our current tonnage in the group is about 600 tons. Our current capacity cannot even meet this demand from just one customer. To create this extra capacity, we want to produce more fibers by making another production facility in Denmark. We want to raise $1.8 million for this. We intend to sell shares from PP Nordica Group in exchange for this investment. This presentation has been made towards this end. This has been Leszek Krupinski on behalf of PP Nordica Group. Thanks for listening and goodbye.
So a great presentation on behalf of the PP Nordica team. I invite you now to put on your cameras and to turn on your microphones and to get ready to answer the questions and tell us more about your company. So Leszek, are you here with us?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can see you well as well. So thank you so much for the presentation. I think we have the first question from the investor in the audience, from Alexander. Could you tell us a little bit more about the risks that are involved in the project? And how do you plan to mitigate them?
Risks? Yeah, of course, there's always risk. But yeah, risk. If Siemens go away from the contract, of course, that's a risk. It's not signed yet. But otherwise, I cannot see the risk. Where should they come from? Raw material prices can go sky high, so we will be more expensive than our competitor of steel mesh and steel fibers. But no, honestly, I cannot see where the huge risk should come from. The dollar going bankrupt? No, I don't think so.
And what about the competition, for example? Do you see, I mean, the competitive landscape is like, and do you see any competitors coming in with a product that can, you know,
That's correct. First of all, Yes, it's correct that other macro-synthetic fiber producers are coming up. We were among the absolutely first that started with macro-synthetic, and now we start seeing them here and there and everywhere. However, I would actually like people to understand that fibers in one thing, and the solutions where we sell them is another thing. The fiber itself is not that tricky to make. If you have a polymer chemist who knows how to put the plastic molecules together, then you can make a fiber as good as the one we are using today. But the fiber itself doesn't do all the job. It's also a part of having engineers on your side who can calculate on your fibers. Also having insurance that covers what you are calculating on. As an example, I can tell you that we are doing point and strike foundations in Copenhagen below 9-level high rise buildings. If you could imagine yourself a contractor wants to go with our solution using our fibers, then of course he needs to be protected by an insurance. If he takes another fiber where he's not insured and something goes wrong under these kind of jobs, then he will have a big problem. So many times you will see that the contractor is not going to take a chance. He might be willing to pay a little more and then get fibers that he can trust and that can calculate and can give him the insurance. And that's how we see we're definitely not the cheapest in the market. If I should convince it into dollar, I would say that we are probably now $2 more expensive than the fibers we have seen trying to enter our area. But I would like to tell still that if we look into Denmark alone, there is only us selling macro-synthetic fibers, even that we have had competitors going with way low prices. And that has something to do with the way we are selling the things. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the answer. I guess something connected to that is how do you protect your product know-how? Do you have any patents in place, or do you plan to apply for any?
No, we don't have any patents. We have never thought about it. Might be a good idea to think about actually, but we have not has these things in our head so far. But I would also say that if we look into doing designs, that's quite, first of all, you need to have an engineer who knows about fibers before you can start building the programs that we are working in. And I know the cost that we have had in PVCD, where we have the 2 engineers hired, and it's not something you just do. It's quite expensive. It takes it takes many hours from the engineer before we have the setup that we need. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So moving on to the next question, what is your product, the technology readiness level of your product? So you've actually had already track record of sales, so it's ready to go to the market, but you need that extra capital to expand your capacities.
Yeah,
is that correct? Mm-hmm. So the product is completely ready to roll out.
Yes, it is. Definitely it is. Actually, also, I can put a little note to this because it demands 3 things here. You need to have a very, very strong fiber. That means that you need to have the plastic molecules work the right way together to get that tensile strength we need in the fiber. We need as thin as fiber as possible so that we have as many fibers as possible per kg. And in the end, we still need to have a fiber that bonds to the concrete. We need a fiber that sticks to the concrete. Otherwise, if it don't stick to the concrete, you can have the best fiber in the world. If you cannot transfer the strongness, the tensile strength of the fiber to the concrete, then it doesn't matter. And so when I'm saying these things, it's just to sit down and find out producing this fiber, to get a polychemist to take the plastic molecules together. It's one thing, but you still have to transvert it into practice. And that's, it demands definitely some know-how and some what do you call that on English? Experience, I guess.
Yes, definitely. I can only imagine that. I guess maybe one of the last questions, going more on the side of financials, what is the payback period of your project? If you have any numbers in front of you.
That can be a very short. It's definitely a very few years we are talking about, I guess. Yeah, 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And just to conclude, could you recap for everyone exactly how much you're raising and what, once again, what will that money go to?
We're looking forward, if possible, to raise $1.8 million, and that will go for raising the line, to produce the line, to buy raw materials, produce the fibers, have them CE marked, all these things that is required, and also delivering the first fiber before we can send the first invoice. So actually, to buy the line and finance the production until we are running full scale.
All right, very clear. So thank you so much. Actually, another question coming in. The last one, I think also about financing. How much of your total capex could be bank financed? Do you also consider that?
We have been looking into it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have talked to the bank. Of course, we have. But through the bank, unfortunately, I'm not strong enough capital guy myself to put security for the bank. So unfortunately, we cannot raise all the money that way around.
All right, got you. Well, on that note, thank you so much for the presentation and for answering all the questions. If anyone has any further questions to the PP Nordica team, I will be happy to connect you after the conference. And in the meantime, congratulations, and we wish you good luck for the future.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, PP Nordica. That was brilliant. Thanks for the introduction. And moving on to the next presenting company, Elevate, a manufacturing company of engine lubricants to improve fuel economy, engine life, horsepower, torque, and lower CO2 emissions. So please pay attention.
Elevate Performance Products would like to thank you for this opportunity to share our vision for making a world of difference for our environment and an extremely attractive investment opportunity for you. Our company was founded to address a daunting problem. Every year, over 39 trillion pounds of carbon dioxide are spewed into the air by over 2 trillion gallons of fuel, consumed by over 2 billion internal combustion engines. But what if you could invest in a visionary nanotechnology proven to reduce fuel consumption and hence carbon emissions significantly, while increasing horsepower and engine life? If you think all this sounds too good to be true, get ready for a shock.
The powertrain treatment market is about to get shock treatment. Introducing Elevate Powertrain Treatment, shifting vehicle performance into a higher gear.
Elevate is a revolutionary engine treatment that significantly increases the performance of anything with an engine by reducing the internal friction.
68% of your engine's power, 68%, like over half, is raw by heat and friction. And Elevate lets you take back your power. It's as simple as that.
We've subjected Elevate to head-to-head performance testing against all of the major brands in the marketplace, and we've blown them all away.
Elevate was created by a brilliant inventor. Our job is to give Elevate the marketing brilliance that's worthy of its technological brilliance, and that's exactly what we intend to do.
And you can find a product that will increase your fleet's fuel economy It will increase your fleet's engine life, lower your maintenance costs, and literally save you millions of dollars a year. That's a significant advantage over your competitors.
We will focus initially on the fleets because they have the most to gain, and that's where the most money can be made.
You need to have a world-class team with a world-class product and world-class systems and plans to commercialize that product in order to really succeed. And that's exactly what we put together. People that get involved at this stage are going to be in the best position to capitalize on the success of Elevate.
I have never seen a product just pour it in the car, run it for 30 minutes, and I had 10 more horsepower at the wheel on my Dodge Challenger. That's a lot.
The money we're raising now is to take it to the marketplace and show the world what this product really is.
If Elevate did nothing more than improve fuel economy, it would take the market by storm. After all, if you're a fleet manager or CEO and someone comes to you and says, hey, we've got this product that is going to increase your fuel economy so much that you're going to save tens of millions of dollars a year, you can't ignore that. But on top of that, Elevate also increases horsepower, it increases torque, engine life, load capacity, and oh, by the way, it reduces fuel emissions. There's nothing not to love about this product.
Elevate's formula was developed by two brilliant inventors who knew everything about tribology and nothing about marketing. When our founder discovered that this nanotechnology reduces powertrain friction up to 75%, reduces fuel consumption and CO2 emissions up to 27%, increases horsepower up to 10%, and reduces wear by up to 82%, he quit his job, bought the rights to the technology, and started our company. And today, Elevate powertrain treatment is tested, proven, and ready to ship. Our advantage lies in the fact that only Elevate fills in the friction-causing microscopic imperfections in the metal and then bonds to the metal to reduce friction more than any oil treatment could dream of. We make the metal better, and that makes a world of difference. If you're still a little skeptical, so is Nick Firestone.
A friend of mine from college called me up and said, listen, a mutual friend of mine, the CEO of Elevate, he's got this great product. It's automotive related. I immediately thought of you. He starts telling me that he has this additive that'll give you 10% more horsepower, which caught my attention right away, okay? And then up to 20% better mileage, reduce your engine temperature by 20 degrees. So I was immediately interested because those are big claims, but I was also, to be honest, immediately skeptical. I wanted to put it in my Challenger. I figured that was the best car to try all this out. It's a Challenger RT. It's supposed to have 372 horsepower from the factory. On the way up there, I could actually feel the car pulling. It pulls. I mean, the car pulls pretty strongly anyway. It pulled stronger. I couldn't believe it. Did a back-to-back dyno test. It's about as clean of a test as you can get. And it was 10 horsepower at the wheel. Okay, that's huge. It made a fast car even faster. It gave me better mileage on a car that has no business getting better mileage, and it runs cooler. The place that I went to test it, Dyno Comp it's called, the gentleman there, he's done fleet testing for Dodge with the RTs, and he was asking me what I did, and I told him, he's like, look, when this product comes to market, let me know. I can sell this all day long on the simple fact that it's 10 horsepower at the wheel. That is huge. The potential for fleets is unbelievable.
Elevate's world-class team is led by founder CEO Joseph Stansel, an innovative leader in operations, consulting, and investment banking. Chief Revenue Officer Anthony Hassano was a senior sales executive for LifeLock before it was acquired for $2.4 billion. David Brzezinski, our Chief Marketing Officer, is a digital marketing expert with a tremendous record of building billions of ad impressions with high conversion rates. John Pohl, our Chief Communications Officer, plied his creativity in executive roles with Dial, Gallo, Kellogg's, and Cobra. Susan Veal, our CFO, brings impressive experience in a wide range of industries. And Nick Firestone, our advisor and lead investor, brings the perspective of a professional race car driver who grew up in a legendary family long associated with all things automotive. While Elevate powertrain treatment is ready to ship today, we're developing a broad line of motor oils and other eco-friendly lubricants pre-blended with Elevate. The total addressable market is over $170 billion annually and growing. Elevate will be strategically targeting numerous vertical markets, including truck and bus fleets, wind farms, the military, and manufacturing machinery. Our immediate priorities for this capital raise include launching our digital and account-based marketing efforts, forming a national sales team to target fleets, and building out our manufacturing facility. With fossil fuel engines spewing out nearly 40 trillion pounds of carbon dioxide into our air annually, it's time for an approach that truly makes a world of difference. It's time for Elevate Performance Products. It's also time for our founder and CEO, Joseph Stansel, to answer any questions you might have.
Well, a fantastic presentation by Elevate team. Congratulations on that. And I would like to invite Joseph now to join us for the Q&A.
Thank you. I want to apologize for the sound quality on a little bit of that video. Anyone that would like that presentation, I can email it to you.
Yes, we'll be happy also to connect everyone who's interested with Joseph directly following the event. So we have our first question coming in. What about your commercialization strategy? So I guess how are you going to reach the markets, the different markets that you were talking about in the presentation?
We've got a multi-pronged approach. We're going to focus primarily on fleet market with account-based marketing. On the consumer side, we've got an affiliate program with a subscription model for fulfillment so that we get maximum reorder rates. With an affiliate program to create viral behavior in the consumer market. We've already competed for and been awarded a 5-year government purchasing contract in the United States that meets all the federal acquisition requirements and defense acquisition requirements. So government agencies throughout the United States can directly issue purchase orders without having to go through a separate RFP process. It's one of the anti-fraud kind of measures that the United States does. So we've already cleared that hurdle and we've got that contract in place. We'll be doing account-based marketing into the government and military sectors as well.
Great, thank you. So the next question, more on the technical side, if you could tell us a little bit more about the actual technology and how it works for people who, who are interested in that technical component.
Well, from the beginning of time, the way that friction has been dealt with is finding something slippery to put in between two rough surfaces. And that's really the way it's done today. We find slippery stuff to put between rough surfaces, and everything in the market addresses the problem that way. Our product is the first one that addresses the problem itself, which is the friction, which is caused by the rough metal surfaces. Our nanotechnology binds to the surface of the steel, fills in all of those micro cracks, fissures, pores in the steel, levels it out, creates a very hard, very slippery surface without any lubrication at all. Of course, you don't want to run it without lubrication, but the lubricant itself becomes somewhat immaterial. It needs to be there, but we reduce the friction so much that the oil is just kind of a necessary vehicle.
Okay, got it. And do you have any direct competitors, or what about other technologies that are there on the market?
We have tested our product against everything we could find in the market, using independent lab testing, following ASTM standard tests, and nothing came close to matching the performance of our product. The test that we ran for direct comparison was an Epsilon Felix linear test machine that applies up to 3,000 pounds per square inch of pressure to a rotating steel pin. The pressure is increased at 500 pounds every couple of minutes, and the test runs for 30 minutes in length. Every single product we tested in the marketplace failed miserably. Either the pin seized and snapped in half, or the temperature got so hot that the machine shut down for safety reasons. Our product is the only thing that lasted the entire 30 minutes, full 3,000 PSI of pressure, did not overheat, and the damage to the pin and the plates that were applied to the pin was minimal. Very, very small line of scarring on the plates. It was just really incredible.
Wow, sounds very exciting. And do you have patents on that technology?
No, we strategically chose not to go with patents and instead maintain it as a trade secret because it is a chemical process. And we didn't want to spend our entire existence playing whack-a-mole, trying to chase down Me Too products that are copying our formula. It would be way too expensive, take too much time and legal expense to fight that battle. So our goal is to hit the market very, very hard and fast, develop the de facto brand for making the metal better, somewhat like Kleenex or Xerox or, these various different brands. We say today, I'm going to call an Uber even if we're calling Lyft. So we want to be the brand identity for this space. And we know that there's going to be products that come out trying to compete with us, trying to do what we do. It will take them a very long, arduous process to try to understand how the nanotechnology works and come up with something that can try to replicate what we do. But by that time, we hope to have such a brand awareness and ubiquitous presence in the market that they're just a Me Too product.
All right, got it. Another question on the side of the financials as well. You didn't mention how much are you raising exactly in this round, and maybe alongside this, you can go a little bit in the detail on what it's going to be used for.
Sure. This round, we have available $5 million raise. And we're going to use that to launch a broad-based, account-based marketing strategy, again, to the government, military, and fleet sectors predominantly. The sales cycle is a little longer for these segments, but when we do get a sale, the unit of sale is so large that it makes it more than worth the while to take that time and spend the money on that. Simultaneously, we're going to be launching a very laser-focused digital marketing campaign. We're working with two of the very best digital marketing agencies in the world, one being Epsilon. Epsilon has the most robust consumer database in the world, second only to Google, and has done billions and billions of digital touch points over the years. They represent 15 of the 20 top brands in the world, and we've worked with them very closely in developing what our audience looks like, what our cost per acquisition is likely to be in a bell curve ratio. So this money is going to be used for going to market. We've already got a manufacturing facility that can produce up to 90,000 gallons a month of our product, which can then treat 5 million quarts of oil. So we've already got capacity for quite a bit of growth without additional manufacturing capacity. The majority of this money is going to be building out our technological infrastructure on salesforce.com and launching our marketing first in North America and then globally.
Mm-hmm. All right, got it. Thank you. And I'm picking up the last question from the audience. Can the technology be used for electric cars? Well, if not, then how do you see your business evolving in this world where we're going to have more and more electric vehicles in the future?
I'm glad that question was asked, actually. Yes, it can be used with electric cars. Most electric vehicles use a liquid lubricant for reducing friction and cooling the electric motors. It's very similar to an automatic transmission fluid. And our product absolutely works in that environment. Even though fossil fuel engines are going to be dying out over the next several decades. The friction problem is not. If you think about wind turbines, the motors that exist up in the top of the wind turbine are very complex with a lot of gears, reduction gears, electric generator motors. All of those things have liquid lubricants in them. And industry experts that I've talked to said that friction is a huge problem in electric generation windmills. So we're doing some testing on blending our product with those liquid lubricants for windmill application. And we believe that we can help them increase their electricity output by 6 to 8% using our product in their liquid lubricants. So although the fossil fuel engine market may decline over the next 30 to 50 years, the friction problem is not going away.
Got it. Well, it sounds really exciting, and we wish you success with this project. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
It's really appreciated, and congratulations once again on the presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph. That was brilliant, and hopefully everybody will get back to you and get the video. So we'll try to see that one more time.
It's actually pretty good. You got to hear Nick Firestone talk about his reaction to the product.
Yeah, I would imagine. So the third presenting company is a company called Nine Water, a company within recycling of contaminated water for use by industry, agriculture, and aquifer recharge. So the next video you'll see will be Nine Water with John on the screen.
Hi, I'm John Grisdeel with 9 Power Clean Water in Golden, Colorado. The sad fact is the world just doesn't have enough fresh water. Although the planet's covered with water, only a very small fraction is actually available for use by humans and agriculture and livestock. It's projected by 2050 that the global water demands we currently have will increase some 55%. Now, industry currently uses 20 to 40% of all freshwater withdrawals, and that number is expected to go up 400% in the next 30 years. Currently around the world, about 24% of the global population lives in water stress area, and that number is going to increase to 40%. So our proposition is simple. Recycle industrial wastewater so there's more fresh water available for humans and our needs. Industrial wastewater is a $75 billion to $100 billion a year problem. This includes water produced from oil and gas production, water used in steelmaking, pharmaceuticals, textiles, chemical, mining, and manufacturing.
It's
and
15
it contains
hours.
very specific kinds of very unusual contaminants not found in municipal water systems. Things like hydrocarbons and metals and radionuclides and sulfides. These things are very difficult to remove and very expensive. The other problem is these kind of contaminants cause all kinds of human illnesses, from cancer to neurological problems to tumors. So it's imperative that we get those contaminants out of the wastewater. Now, traditional methods are to build large lagoons and let time and biological processes or the addition of chemicals handle treating the wastewater. The problem is this takes too long and it's very expensive. What's really required is something that's specifically built for industry that solves their specific needs, that's scalable, and will integrate well with their existing operations. 9 Power Clean Water has created just such a system. Our technology is based on a 10-year program at University of New Mexico, New Mexico Tech, and Los Alamos National Laboratory to solve this specific set of problems. After spending 7 years of our own in engineering, product development, testing, retesting, more product development, and commercial trials, we began selling our solutions this year. We make money 3 ways. We sell machines, we maintain those machines, and we also sell replacement media. Now, one of the neatest things about our water treatment machines is that they're modular, and again, they're specific to certain classes of contaminants, whether that's radioactive materials, scalants, metals, hydrocarbons. Users only have to pay for what they need. Our technology has been proven over and over by US EPA certified labs to remove contaminants down to the level that they're almost undetectable. Our water treatment modules treat 2,500 to 5,000 barrels a day. That's 400 to 800 cubic meters a day. And you can gang them in together to treat as much as 50,000 barrels or 8,000 cubic meters a day in one system. Our products meet or exceed all standards in the US, the EU, China, and North Atlantic. Again, our key features are the fact that we remove virtually all the contaminants and do so at a cost that's much less expensive. We say 50%, but it can be as much as 98% cheaper than using conventional methods. Our initial markets are in California, the Southwest US, and in China, because that's where the current biggest need is and that's where the funding is coming from. Our team has worked together, some of us over the last 30 years, and we've all been chief executive of our own or other people's enterprises, and we've worked well together to create a great company to take this technology to the marketplace. We're crowdfunding on startengine.com right now, and it's a good opportunity for you to get involved with the company so you can help us grow and also be there in the future as we need more expansion capital. Thanks for your time. I sure appreciate it.
John, thank you so much for this lovely presentation. I invite you to log in and say hi to everyone while we're going to look at the questions that we have from investors.
Hello, everyone. How are you? So our competitors tend to be very large construction companies because that's who build municipal wastewater plants. And so we won a bid in China against a company that you would probably recognize, but their bid was based on how much concrete they were going to pour. And we came in at about 25% of the cost of the CapEx. And overall, we'll probably save that plant as much as 80% on treating millions and millions of gallons of water off a coking plant every day.
Wow, very, very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest with you. Water is not as exciting as some of the other things we've done. We've been in nuclear power and software and satellites, but I'll tell you what, it's really needed, and I feel like we're really doing something important for society. And by the way, there's a lot of money in it too. So that's what we, are really focused on. The team has worked really hard together the last 7 years and really struggled to get the product right, get it on the market. You can tell by the picture here, and then today, that I'm a lot grayer and have a much bigger beard. So we've been through the ringer. We've been in the field, and we went to Start Engine to do crowdfunding because quite honestly, it's a way to raise a modest amount of money in the beginning for marketing, and it allows us to reach people. So we went from having a couple dozen people following us on social media to now we have over 1 million people following us around the world. And we're really selling the company, even if they're, if people would never buy our product, we want them to get involved in our mission. And we've gotten tons of great leads off of that, as well as, investment dollars. So I cannot talk about my revenue. This is the problem with being in an SEC crowdfunding right now. You have to go to startengine.com/IX-water for any projections or anything that has to do with the specifics about the company. Because the way crowdfunding works, the Securities and Exchange Commission only wants you to go to one site. And there's a list of things I can't talk about, and finances is one of them. How do we protect our technology?
Yeah. Could you tell us just a little bit on that point, more about your crowdfunding campaign? How is it structured? How much you're raising, and what are the possibilities to enter, the ranges of investments to enter?
So I can't talk about any of that. You have to go to startengine.com. I mean, I don't know if you guys have participated in crowdfunding, but it is way more strict than any other way to raise money. And even though this group tends to, and probably is full of accredited investors, it doesn't matter. They've been, in fact, my lawyer called me this morning and she's like, if you say anything that's on the Start Engine site, the SEC can come after you. So go to startengine.com /ix-water, and you can learn more about those issues. Now, as far as how do we protect our technology, that's easy. We acquired the rights to the patent from the United States government, and we actually managed the patent. We took Los Alamos National Laboratory, who was the manager for the patent, out so that we didn't have the government overhang. So now we share royalties between ourselves, University of Texas, and New Mexico Tech. We essentially license the patent to ourselves exclusively, but it's a patent and trademark office. Now, the key thing is and I've heard somebody talk about patents earlier, we were afraid, and so was Los Alamos, that if we were very explicit about how our media is made and the nanotechnology, the specific chemicals we use to alter the substrate media to attract, specific classes of contaminants, then we'd just get copied. So that's all trade secret. It's sort of like the Colonel's recipe or the Coca-Cola recipe. And so I know it, and then it's in a safety deposit box, and it's also in a safe. But that's how we're able to prevent people from encroaching on our space.
All right, got it. And another question that we have was more about the track record. Could you tell us how many units have you deployed so far, and what has been, the feedback so far and the performance so far, from the customer perspective as well?
So I can tell you that here's a couple things I can tell you that are public. We were awarded a discharge permit by the Colorado Natural Resources Department to take water that had come up out of an oil well that's very contaminated. Every time you bring up a barrel of oil, you're going to bring 2 to 50 barrels of contaminated water. In fact, in the US, fracking and all that, it's mostly water coming up. It's not gas. It's not oil. And we treated that water and were permitted by the state of Colorado to throw it in the Platte River, which runs through the center of Denver. Nobody's ever been able to do that. So that's one credibility statement that we have, plus all the lab tests and all the commercial tests and things like that. I think, in terms of risk and struggle, our biggest risk is going to be one of execution. Because there's going to become a point in 2 or 3 years where we have to decide, do we want to create $1 billion company, or do we, as the original investors and founders, want to get out? And so we're very open about that we may have to get sold to somebody that's already got manufacturing around the world, that's already got a global sales force. And as the product designers, the entrepreneurs behind this technology, we're probably not the best people to run it. And I think it's important to recognize that, our team is focused on making, the film, not on making popcorn or in distribution or making, the streaming happen down the line. So we're at that really critical juncture now where this is well known. We just started selling this year. I can tell you we're doing really well. And despite the global zombie apocalypse, we do have a lot of things happening in terms of the revenue side.
All right, got it. And nonetheless, in terms of the execution, you mentioned that most of the money that you're raising now will go into marketing.
That's right.
Exactly is your marketing strategy to bring this product to the market in the next couple of months?
So here's the cool part. Our target market is full of people who are registered with state, local, national governments. That's oil wells, that's landfills, that's chemical manufacturing. So we know who our target market is. It's not like we have to sort of go figure that out. So the money that we're raising now will be used to do on-site demonstrations. We have this neat portable machine that it's very big but it's smaller than the machine most people would buy. And we can drive it behind an F-350 and go anywhere in the US. And part of this money will also be used to put a demonstration machine in China. China is an enormous market for us. I can give you one anecdote you might appreciate. Several years ago during the Olympics, President Xi Jinping was embarrassed at the state of their environment. And he decided, look, we have standards that they adopted from US and European Union They just weren't enforcing them. So a couple of years ago, they went from almost no enforcement to extreme enforcement. Here's one anecdote. It used to be that if you dumped contaminated water at a river, you know, the factory might pay a fine of $100 or something, you know, US. Now, because you could threaten people's health by dumping that contaminated water into a river, they attach attempted murder to at least one case that I know of. So if you go from pay $100 to life in jail, people are going to pay attention, and they've still got 5 years to clean up their act. But that is enforcement wise, it's something we've never seen anywhere else in the world. The US and the EU set these standards, but I got to tell you, China is enforcing them. And so that's a big opportunity for us.
Right, got it. Well, sounds very exciting, and congratulations on everything that you've done so far. We were really glad to have you here with us today, and of course we'll be connecting you with all the participants in the audience at the conference, so you can continue those discussions one-on-one. But for now, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much, John. Great presentation, great beard. Keep it coming, keep it growing. So the last presenting company will be a company called Natrion, an engineering company with a safe, cost-effective energy storage solution that will facilitate mainstream solar power use.
Introducing non-human DNA into our bodies. What is worse, though, is that there is a patent and work that they've done at MIT.
Second,
make a dye, and the dye is called luciferase.
There you go. I think that someone was unmuted. Now I'm going to share the Natrion presentation.
Hi, I'm Alex Koskov, and I'm the founder and CEO of Natrion, an innovative new battery company developing the next generation of safe energy storage for widespread solar power adoption. We're developing a new solid-state sodium-ion battery-based energy storage device to target currently unaddressed markets in the residential, commercial, and military energy sectors. We started 2 years ago and are currently based out of Binghamton, New York. And here are some of the organizations that we're partnered with. One of the central issues that we're addressing is that more than half of all US military casualties in Iraq and Afghanistan have happened during enemy attacks on the vulnerable diesel fuel convoys that supply power generators at American bases. Diesel convoys incur a massive financial burden for the Defense Department as well, with over 700 forward operating bases, each requiring 22 daily truckloads of fuel for their generators. The cost of diesel per base per year totals $20 million. Solar arrays paired with battery-based energy storage can completely replace diesel generators and fuel convoys. Why hasn't the Defense Department made the switch? Well, reliable solar power requires the integration of large battery-based energy storage. But the current state-of-the-art lithium-ion batteries quite simply don't cut it. They rely on a component called a liquid electrolyte that can easily explode from overheating or even mechanical damage. Temperatures of just 140 degrees Fahrenheit can set these things off, and lithium batteries thus require external electronic and cooling systems to stay stable. And these systems can malfunction catastrophically, like this battery that exploded in Arizona last year, injuring 4 firefighters. There have been more than 30 explosions such as this worldwide in the past 2 years. As Joseph Lapari of Brooklyn Solar Works will tell you, because of their fire risk, lithium battery-based products currently don't meet UL 9548, RCNY 40801, and other fire safety codes and burn tests that are required in New York City. Moreover, these leading products made by Tesla and LG that you see here are effectively banned in New York and many other municipalities with similar safety restrictions. Solar will continue to stagnate in these energy markets until a safe battery product arrives. Meanwhile, in markets where safety codes are less stringent, these lithium products' use of external cooling and electronics adds to the already expensive lithium batteries and means that these systems can cost $7,000 per 10 kilowatt hour unit or more. This is an extremely cost-prohibitive price in many applications. For example, let's look at the Midwest agricultural sector. The average Illinois dairy farm will spend as much as $90,000 each year on electricity. And in a low-margin industry that has grown increasingly difficult since the commodity price crash, you would think that solar power would be an attractive cost-cutting measure for many farms, right? Well, in actuality, rural farms are served by electric co-ops that require farms to pay fees in order to unload excess solar power onto the grid. The better option is for farmers to go off-grid and manage excess solar power with energy storage. But as mentioned earlier, the high cost of lithium batteries creates an unattractive ROI for these potential customers. And this makes it near impossible to profit off of solar. And only 2% of Illinois farmers actually have solar installations right now. And this number will continue to be low until a cheaper battery is developed. Enter Natrion. We're developing System 6, a battery purpose-built at the molecular level for inherent safety and durability by implementing a new ceramic solid electrolyte that is stable to nearly 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This eliminates any risk of fire as well as need for external cooling or electronics. Electrolyte is the world's first aluminosilicate-based solid electrolyte and is made from a single precursor that costs just $160 per ton. We pair this revolutionary component with a cheaper sodium-based architecture. Our electrolyte and its use in batteries is currently utility patent pending, by the way. So aside from its intrinsic safety, System 6 is also 40% more affordable to produce than lithium batteries on a cost per kilowatt hour basis. This chart shows how these cost efficiencies are a direct result of our proprietary electrolyte and sodium chemistry. With System 6, we intend to target a combined military and civilian addressable market that will be worth $14.4 billion by 2025. And here's how we do it. In New York and the Midwest, we're building out a network of local solar installers and electricians to bundle System 6 battery packs with their existing solar products. Meanwhile, on the military end, we're using the SBIR grant pipeline to work our way towards Phase 3 contracts. We're on track to pilot 50 to 600 kilowatt hour trailer-mounted System 6 modules in 2022 at bases in Guam and Kabul, with which we've been collaborating closely. Eventually, America's 700 forward operating bases could each use as many as 200 units such as these. Meanwhile, on the civilian side, we'll launch a 16 kilowatt hour System 6 product in 2023, perfectly sized for commercial and residential solar installations. These will cost just over $1,000 to produce and will be sold wholesale to installers for just $2,000 at a roughly 50% margin. End users will pay just $3,000 or so per unit after installation. Obviously, we won't be able to manufacture at the scales that we need to on our own right out of the gates. And that's why we believe our partnership with AMT Power is so valuable. This company is under contract with the UK government to build one of the world's first sodium battery gigafactories in Scotland. And this facility will come online in 2023, with 1/4 of its 5 gigawatt hour capacity being dedicated to the manufacture of Natrion cells. Full battery packs will then be assembled by AMT's subcontractor Neptech, and this will allow us to build 1,116 kilowatt hour System 6 units in our launch year. The star-studded team is led by yours truly and my partner Tom, with aspects of R&D headed by Dr. Liu and Dr. Vidadello of Binghamton University and City University. Advising us on the military front is Harlan Kofalis, a first sergeant at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, with over 20 years of experience in the military, as well as Alex Gorsuch, who has developed over 200 products for the Defense Department. Finally, we'd be remiss to not talk about equity holder John Tuck, our liaison with AMT Power and an energy serial entrepreneur, as well as investor advisor Ben Jen, another serial entrepreneur. Thanks so much for listening, and here are a couple of ways to contact us.
Thank you, Alex, for this great presentation. I invite you to turn on your camera now and say hello to everyone.
Hi, everyone. Alex here. Thanks so much for listening. And free to answer any questions at this point.
Yes, well, it's great to have you with us. I invite everyone to ask the questions in the chat. And I think for now, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your financials and how much you're raising now and what will this money go to?
Absolutely. So we're currently in a 1.25 million seed raise. of which we have 250,000 already committed on the contingency of finding a lead investor by the end of the year. And so this seed will go primarily towards basically getting our own cell production line for accelerating R&D. And so we could potentially take our 30-month timeline to pilots down to 18 months, significantly improving our time to market and diminishing our capital costs.
Right.
And
Good, how are you?
hi.
No, I can talk.
Hi, how are you? Oh.
Yes.
Oh, he just messaged me privately.
Okay, well, if there are any questions, then feel free to ask them in the chat. Well, another question from my side as well. How do you plan to protect the technology? Are there any patents around it, or what is your plan moving forward?
Absolutely. So we're currently utility patent pending on the solid electrolyte and its use in sodium batteries. And so that patent just came under review by the USPTO.
All right. And given that you're saying a lot of products that are on the market now are actually not compliant with the regulations, do you see any other competitors emerging that are trying to solve that problem?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's been quite a bit of innovation as far as solid-state lithium-ion batteries, but this has been primarily for high-performance electric vehicles, and so it won't be till 2030 or so that these will actually be cheap enough for renewable energy storage applications. So we see a pretty clear path to many of these markets that have been restricted to the battery types so far.
Okay, got it. So we have a more technical question here from Lowell. What is the volume of sodium in the battery? Could you maybe walk us through a little bit more, walk us through the technology for people who know and don't necessarily know the technical side of it?
Absolutely. And I also see in chat that he asked if there are any rare earths involved. So, basically, we have, right, so the core of our technology is our proprietary solid electrolyte piece. So this is essentially the material through which you're moving sodium ions in order to actually carry electric charge. And so usually this is basically a flammable liquid that's used because liquids can transfer charge very well. And so, yeah, so we use, basically aluminosilicate solid with a precursor material that's already being used a lot in the paper and cosmetic industries. So it's readily available at high purity to us. And so we completely replace these flammable liquids with this inherent thermal stability. And then we replace lithium with sodium. So sodium is about 2,000 times as abundant, 37 times cheaper than lithium. And we're using a new cathode material that we're licensing from Binghamton University, where we don't use nickel, we don't use cobalt, we only use iron as far as transition metals. It's a new iron metal silicate cathode material. So we completely remove rare earths as well. And because of the unique sodium chemistry, we can also remove the need for copper current collectors. So we use aluminum instead. So yeah, absolutely eliminating rare earths, and that's another huge cost efficiency and reduction toxicity, as well as any problems with recycling or so forth.
All right, got it. Well, thank you for the explanation. And also, maybe you can tell us a little bit more at what stage you are. You mentioned that you have a plan for the prototype development in the next 30 months. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about those plans moving forward as well.
Sure. So we have a battery cell level MVP, and so now it's a matter of scaling to a battery pack level MVP with which we can conduct our demos and pilots. And so a huge bottleneck for us right now has been that we've had to basically we have to build a bunch of battery cells, and we've had to outsource much of that work. And because we're unable to do it in-house, it's quite the inefficiency. It's hugely costly for us. And so that's why for our seed, we want to get our own cell production line for prototyping. then we can scale up to this actual eventual 16 kilowatt hour product. And then with that, we can not only conduct demos, but also start getting all of these certifications that we need and promise to our would-be end users.
All right, got it. So we have more questions coming in from the audience now. First one from Anders. What are the disadvantages of sodium technology versus lithium?
Sure. So basically, this is not a technology that can be used for electric cars. This is not a technology that can be used for portable electronics. Basically, when you have lithium batteries that are about 300 plus, basically 300 plus, I want to say kilowatt hours per watt hours per kilogram. Sorry. And sodium, you're only at about 150, so it's not energy dense at all compared to lithium. But we are optimizing it for cost efficiency, and safety, and that's really what renewable energy storage prioritizes. So that's basically the main disadvantage. And the way that we are volumetrically efficient at large scales, though, is because we're able to eliminate the need for external cooling in electronic systems. So there's no actual cooling that you use. Meanwhile, with your Tesla Powerwalls and LG batteries, they're all using, I believe, ethylene glycol cooling or something like that. So, yeah.
All right. And what is the lifetime of your batteries?
Sure. So right now we're targeting 5,000 cycles. So it'd basically be, it basically lasts you in your average solar storage application about 30 years. And so solar panels currently last 25 to 30 years as well. So it's perfectly suited for the application.
Mm-hmm. All right, great. So another questions from the audience that we have, how did you approach the military advisor, and what are the particular ways in which you're going to work with him to expand your technology in that sphere?
Sure. So with the military, you absolutely have to have someone on the inside if you're going to want to sell to the Defense Department. And so that's why we've been very fortunate to have Harlan Kvalis on our team. He served in Kosovo, Iraq, and Afghanistan, as I said, is now at Fort Sill. We found him through the Defense Entrepreneur Forum. We're a part of a number of different defense communities, for instance, AFWorks. We're doing the AFWorks Energy Challenge right now. So, yeah, and absolutely. So Harlan is basically our inroads to pilots and demos with the military, and very fortunate to have him.
Sounds really great. Sounds amazing. Another question that I'm picking up, how will you use the subcontractors?
So I think you're referring to AMT Power. So basically AMT, we would contract them to build our battery cells. And that's until we can, actually develop enough capital for our own manufacturing facilities. Because eventually we do plan to outgrow AMT's capabilities. That gigafactory that I mentioned is specifically meant for niche, basically building niche battery application cells such as ours. And yeah, so it'd be basically, an exclusivity agreement that we'd have with them, and then MEPTEC would build the battery packs, and AMT and MEPTEC work quite a bit together. MEPTEC actually builds the batteries for the McLaren hybrids right now, so another very pedigreed company.
All right. Well, sounds very exciting, and congratulations on everything that you've been able to achieve so far, and great thanks for participating in our conference today. There might be some more questions that have come in, but we will be connecting you with everyone interested after the conference as well.
Thanks so much.
Yes, thanks for being with us. Well, I'm now going.
Thanks, Alexander. Great presentation.
Yes, so Karsten, would you like to give us some concluding remarks following those 4 brilliant presentations?
Well, thank you all for presenting companies, and thank you for everybody joining in this afternoon and listening to the presentations. I think we'll try to work together, Olga, your team and our team in the Nordics, to try to keep focus on the green tech environment, and companies looking to increase awareness about how technologies can actually improve the CO2 emission levels throughout any industry across the globe. So we'll be very excited for the next event. And I think, Olga, we can safely say that we have arranged and scheduled it for February 10th. So next year, 2021, an event like this, and hopefully we'll find another interesting 4 or 5 companies that will be presenting at that time.
Yeah, so thank you, Karsten. Great thanks also for this collaboration and for the help of CompanyCapital in making this possible. We're very excited in venturing into this green tech and clean tech field, and we hope, of course, to see all of you again at our next conference in February 10, where we'll be picking up this discussion and hopefully presenting you some more interesting companies from this sphere. So I invite everyone to already go ahead and RSVP the next conference via the link. And as I said, if you have any questions or if you would like to connect with any particular company that presented today, you can contact me directly. I'm going to leave my email here in the chat as well. So, well, on this note, thanks to everyone for attending, and we hopefully see you soon. Feel free, we're going to keep this going for a couple more minutes, so feel free to exchange your contact details in the chat.
Thanks, Olga. Thanks, everyone.